Hello folks, I hope you're doing well. It's now 23 minutes past 6 on the 28th of the 3rd, 2020. I hope you're okay and having a good day. Right, first of all, you'll be able to hear the puppies whining a bit. There's 2 puppies left. That led to a 7. They're 6 weeks old now. 5 of them went on either Thursday and Friday. So it's good that there's only 2, but in a way, 2 need others to play with. So even though they've got each other to play with, so that's not too bad. But yeah, so this episode will be Christianity, sex. Not an easy subject to cover because I'm not an expert on the situation, and it's been on my mind all day, but I've sort of steered away from it quite a bit, mainly because of the fact that I'm not an expert on this situation. I know a bit about this subject matter. I know, but there are certain areas that are sort of iffy, not really easy to understand. So it's like, right, okie dokie. But anyway, let's go for it, I suppose. Basically, the understanding for me is that if it's righteous or sin, is that you've got parts of your body that are outies and innies. The obvious place to start, the vagina, is an innie. Mainly, the only time it's an outie really is when a baby is coming out. But for the baby to come out, there's got to be an innie first. So that's righteous. It's the way it's supposed to be. So that's an innie. So that's okay. And there are various positions for which to do that, and all those positions are perfectly righteous. As far as I know, I don't know all the positions, to be honest. There will be some rather freaky positions. I'll cover other subjects later with regards to positions. But I certainly say that, generally speaking, yep, that's righteous. That's okay. Anything to do with anal would be not okay because that is clearly an outie. Nothing is supposed to go into that area at all. That's an area for waste air and waste food to be expelled. It's an expel area. It's not okay. This is an area where society has got a lot more sexual. To my understanding, it's in danger of becoming like Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, if it continues the way it is, because when you think about it, you go back 20 years ago, even 20 years ago, homosexuality was illegal. It wasn't spoken about. It certainly wasn't celebrated in any way, shape, or form. Traditional marriage was celebrated, whereas now it seems like gay marriage is what's celebrated. And we've come so far in such a short time. And the danger is, what's the next thing? What now is the perversion that is seen the way homosexuality was seen. You go back 20, 30 years ago, a bit longer maybe. If you were caught as homosexual, you'd be arrested. You could be thrown in prison. You would be thrown in prison. Certainly, if you were involved in any homosexual act, you would face prison. So what perversion sexuality now, or what perversions are like homosexuality was? How soon before they become accepted? How soon before scientists start to find that there are natural reasons in our DNA for people to behave in that way? For people to have that sexual interest, that you're born that way. Not too long, unfortunately. I think that could be an issue as we go forward. I think that could certainly be an issue. It's dangerous, especially the way we have now, where we have the left championing these people that want to be called they. that's all part of sexuality, but they say they're not sexual with regards to any gender, that they are fluid. Then no, you're not. Water is fluid. You ain't fluid. Anyway, right, so that deals with that situation. Anal, no, bad. Don't do it, not good in any way, shape, or form. It's, it's not what that area is used for. There's no benefit for childbirth or anything like that in that area. So no. Self-manipulation, we dealt with that the other night. That is not okay because that involves, in most cases, fantasy, specific fantasy, and using pornography as a fantasy tool, and that's not okay. So if that is not okay, what about masturbating or self-manipulating? Oops, use the word. Self-manipulating your partner, is as a way of foreplay. Well, foreplay is good. Because it gets the areas that are supposed to be lubricated, etc., etc. So foreplay is good. So yes, manipulating your partner's genitalia is fine. So what about oral? Of course, that's what comes next. That's the next bit in foreplay, isn't it? In most cases. Well, the mouth is predominantly an innie, but it's predominantly an innie for food and for drink. So, generally speaking, this is an area that is a bit of a grey area that we don't really know. I've not read anything in the Bible which tells us. I think generally speaking, it's okay. All sex, I think generally speaking, it's okay. But I think like with sex in general, if God is telling you no, then don't do it. That's why I say I'm not an expert on this. I mean, it's been, I feel that God's been pestering me all day to speak about it, but I'm not an expert on this at all. And I say all sex seems a bit but it seems a bit no at the same time. Because the mouth isn't really used for that. So obviously, for what the female does in that sense, that seems a lot no. What the man does, well, that's not as bad. There's not really anything entering the mouth, so that's not too bad. That's okay. But again, that's why I say pray about it, seek God on that issue. Bondage, no. Bondage is a no because it's about tying your partner up. It's about using other things that may cause pain, that are about submission. It's not healthy. It's not a healthy way of doing things, and because it's not a healthy way of doing things, it will certainly be unrighteous. Again, whether it's sin, I feel it is, but exactly why, I can't tell you. I can't quite get to the reason as to why it's sin, but I'm pretty sure it's sin. Although again, with bondage, you've got extreme bondage, which is obviously sin because it's more extreme. So it can be about pain. It can be, it can be dripping hot wax onto people. It can be nipple clamps and clamps to go on other parts of the anatomy. And so that stuff is like, oh God, no. That's pain. Why do you want to experience pain? If you're married to someone, why would you ever want to cause pain to the person you love? If the person you love enjoys pain, then you really got to push the person you love to a counsellor and say you need help. Go and speak to that person about your desire for pain. You know, stay away from that. Yeah, there's so many other things like role play as well. Role play again is edging on dodgy, because it's a fantasy. It's like saying, I'm not satisfied with the person I've got. I need her to pretend, from a man's point of view, I need her to pretend to be someone else. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, what do women's fantasies? I mean, in silly comedies and stuff like that, when they've done women's fantasies, the man comes in dressed as a fireman or something. Well, I'm not sure really what women would have as a sexual fantasy. So I can't really say. But again, it's a similar thing where you don't turn me on enough. So I need you to be involved in acting and role play now to get me turned on. Well, that suggests that you've got issues with your relationship and you need to focus on dealing with those. If you deal with those, then you'll find each other attractive enough without all that role play. So you could have some underlying sin in there that's causing that. So yeah, it's unhealthy. Minimum, it's unhealthy. I mean, when you start having a situation where the man wants his wife to come in dressed as a schoolgirl, well, that's dangerous. Yeah, that's very dangerous indeed. Because whenever you do anything like role play or anything like that, you're actually knocking down the barriers that are going to stop you from having an affair or worse. Because if your fantasy is your wife dressed as a nurse, because you find nurses incredibly attractive and they turn you on massively. If a nurse then comes onto you, because you've already broken those barriers down, there's more of a chance that you'll actually say yes to that nurse. Because the opportunity is now here. This is your fantasy, and your fantasy is now coming true, but because you've already broken down the barriers, you can have fantasies. Just don't live them out in any way, shape, or form. And then when the offer comes to live out that fantasy, you're going to say no because you've got those barriers all up there. Because we're not supposed to give in to that sort of stuff. But we do if we've already broken down all the barriers. So we know that we don't really need to talk about things like wife swapping and all that rubbish. Dogging and whatever other weird sexual priorities are of group sex and all this sort of stuff. No, all that stuff. No. I mean, it's even sinful for you to have sex with anybody who is not the person that God wants for you. Is a sin. You've sinned in just having sex, and that can just be vaginal sex. Nothing else is weird. Just simple sex. But with someone who isn't the person that God has called for you is a sin. And with that person that God has called for you, you should be able to develop a fantastic sex life. Just be honest with each other. Just be honest about what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. Because again, that's the point. Yeah. We like different things. We like, some people like to be nibbled on the ear. Some people like to be tickled a bit. Some people, so yeah. Spend that time with each other. Be honest. Be open. What you like. Experiment a bit within the boundaries of what you can. Learn to understand each other. If you're with a partner who doesn't like doing something, don't ask them to do it. But find another way to get to the same level of pleasure. Because that's the point. If you're with someone that God designed for you, you're supposed to desire that they have pleasure. You're supposed to do your part to help them to have pleasure. Now, sexually, that's one thing you can do to help them to have pleasure. So if you're a man, your woman should be screaming the neighborhood down with sexual pleasure. There's no reason why she shouldn't. There's no reason why, again, you shouldn't have that sort of wonderful sex life where you can have a very healthy sex life. It's not sinful, doesn't make you feel guilty, but it's just pleasurable. And because of the fact you love each other, you want to give each other pleasure. Simple. But you shouldn't do something that you don't want to do to give your partner pleasure. That's why you need to discuss these things. So therefore, you don't get in a situation where you say, oh, if you do this for me, I'll do this thing you like. That I don't like doing, but I do it for you if you do that thing for me. No, don't ever get in that situation. Understand that sex has its place. Lovemaking has its place. It's wallpaper. You build the house, your relationship, out of your trust, your honesty, your respect, your friendship, your loyalty to one another, your communication, everything like that. And the sex is not the cherry on the top. The problem that society has is that they build the foundations of their house with sex. Of course, sex is just the wallpaper and the paint and stuff to make the place look nice. Now, if you build a house and you choose wallpaper to be your foundation, you ain't going to be very secure, is it, really? Wallpaper and paint is your foundation. Your house is not going to stand for very long at all. It's going to sink and fall. And that's what people find with their relationships. They're based on something which is dodgy. And as soon as the sex starts to fade in those relationships, they got nothing else. So as a Christian, you build your relationship with the stuff that really matters. But then you enjoy the sexual stuff because that comes later. And that gets good later. But that gets good as you're open and honest with each other. You learn to do that. You can have an incredible relationship in that way. Again, talking about fantasies and stuff, I'm not sure if it's women's fantasies or men's fantasies, where I think women have the fantasy to a certain degree of being 5% raped. Being a little bit raped. No, don't ever do that. This is different. You're not going to, obviously, for a woman, you're not going to meet a rapist and say, oh, I've always fantasized about this. Come and rape me. No. But it is in the essence of bondage. It's pain related. Grab me, force me on the bed, grab me by the throat. No, God, no. That's just, it's about force. It's about pain. It's about, no. That was in my head earlier about that. And then, because I have to go a kip early on during the day, I had my kip, and then it came into my head about if you ever come across a rapist or if you're ever under attack in that way, that if it's an actual rapist and not one of these people that take advantage of you being drunk, so where it's purely about sex. Rape is not about sex, it's about power, it's about force, it's certainly about hatred. And so what God was sort of saying to me then, which made a certain degree of sense, but it would be difficult to do at the time, is that do the opposite of what the rapist is expecting of you. He's expecting you to be scared, so don't act scared. Act as if you're enjoying it. Act as if this is really what you wanted, because, of course, that's going to freak the heck out of that person. You know, in most cases, they wouldn't know what to do with that. They'll probably just run away. But if they don't, pretend you want to say something to them. That you're trying to say something to them. Struggle to say something, but quietly. So they come nearer. As they come nearer, force your hand, put your hand straight, and force your fingers into their throat as hard as you can. Because if you connect properly, you're going to force their Adam's apple back into their throat. And if you do that, the least you're going to do is cause them to get up and struggle for breath, which gives you a chance to escape. Most you're going to do is kill that person. That person just tried to rape you, so wouldn't feel too bad about that. You can rake their eyes. So again, with your hand, if you're female and you've got good nails, yeah. Again, fingers nice and tight, stretched out across the eyes. Yeah, if you get a bit of penetration and your nail goes into the eye, that's going to get that person to back off very quickly. Don't feel for the person in any way, shape, or form. What they're doing is they're asking for something far worse than that. So protect yourselves. But yeah, with most cases that these sort of things happen is where people have been drinking too much and they become raped by someone they know, where someone's taken advantage of them drinking too much. Now understand something, if you're young and you're female and you can't handle your drink, the sort of person who's going to be doing that is going to be watching out for people like you. When you go out on the weekends to the bars, those people are watching you. They can see that you're someone who can't handle their drink. They know that you are their target. So just be aware of that. Understand that, is it worth it you getting drunk on that night? Is it worth it? If you want to have a good drink and get drunk, then do it. Stay at home and do that, where you're in the safety of your own home. Again, if you're at a college party or anything like that, don't get drunk. Because again, there are people there who are looking for that girl who can't handle their drink and will get drunk easily, where they can use and abuse. So if you're in those situations, be aware that what you do can make it easy for people that are bad to hurt you. So it's not a case of saying you are to blame for what happens, but it is a case of saying you can make it easy for them. So instead of make it easy for them, make it hard. Make it harder for them, because you don't want them to go on to anyone, any other female. But it's better if they go on to someone else than go on to you. So if every woman is thinking that way and acting that way, then no woman's going to be raped by someone they know. No woman's going to go out of the night and end up getting raped by someone who is in the nightclub and just taking advantage of the fact that they got far too drunk, or maybe they slipped something into their drink. Yeah, if you buy your own drinks, that's not going to happen. Just stay safe, folks, with regards to all that sexual stuff. Be wise, stay safe, and Yeah, I'm not condoning killing somebody who is trying to rape you. I'm not condoning raping somebody or being raped by somebody. I'm simply saying that we can help ourselves because we can. And if you're in an awful situation, pray and seek that the Holy Spirit will guide you, because there are ways out of that. Even that sort of situation, there are ways out of it. What's happening is awful. You don't feel that you are in control. You have this big lump of a man on top of you. But there are ways out of it. Do whatever you have to do to get out of it. Don't become a statistic, is the word? Yeah, a number. Anyway, sex is not an easy thing to cover. I can understand why the church has tried to stay away from it, especially saying what is sinful and what isn't, and that's difficult. I understand that. But come on, folks. I mean, certainly churches, stop trying to run away from the difficult subjects. Face up to them and do them. Help the people that are in your church. Say the equipping of the saints. Equipping of the saints means all areas of equipping. All areas of equipping. They need to know that when they go home to their husband and wife, etc., then they can have a wonderful relationship in all areas because the church is helping them to do that. That includes sex. That includes all that sexual stuff. And to understand what is okay, what isn't okay, what is unwise to get into. The problem is that what church has been wanting to do for years is all the safe stuff. Come on, it's not your job. Your job isn't to play it safe. Your job is to really be led by the Holy Spirit and be led on how the Spirit goes. Now, to some, He is going to, on occasion, get you to speak about subjects that are difficult. To say the least, to speak about. I mean, this subject is a hard one. I didn't want to speak about this. It's a hard subject, especially towards the end, to speak about rape and what you should do if you're in that situation. I mean, I'm a man. How the bloody hell would I know? Really? I can try and put myself in a position of a woman that would be in that, but I wouldn't have a clue what that would be like. But understand, folks, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any women out there, especially to any women who have gone through that. Not in any way, shape, or form. I'm not trying to minimize what you've gone through. Certainly not trying to say it's your fault, because it isn't. I'm not trying to say that you made it easy for the person, because you may not have done. There obviously are some occasions where they do. You know, if you get drunk at a college place and you know that rape in colleges is quite common, you should also know that rape is common in colleges where people get drunk. So don't get drunk in those situations. Make it difficult for the person, as difficult as it possibly can bloody well be. Make it so when you take them to court, it's not so easy for people to say, well, maybe she gave consent. She was drunk. How would she know? She may have given consent. Now, I'm not saying you did give consent. What I'm saying is that if you're drunk, then the defence has a case here, an easier case to get their person off. So just be aware, folks. As I said, you have one life. Why have terrible things happening if they really are not necessary? If you are in them, then fight. Right, anyway, I think that would do for now. We're coming into the half an hour mark. Once I've done this subject, hopefully it's done. Right, well, you take care. God bless. I will speak to you soon. Have a good one and stay safe. God bless you. Bye-bye.